We're now on Jeb Bush's terrible week with the media. Mercy, we've gone from in the media, he botched the Iraq question repeatedly, to he's a terrible candidate, to some pundits saying there's no way he can win the nomination. Possible overreaction here?
I think so. I mean, he's raising a lot of money. People do have, you look at, for example, a lot of the political operatives who have joined his team. The grassroots is there.
I want to push back on that because I think the press always overestimates. You have to raise a lot of money in modern politics, but I think the press always equates raising lots and lots of money with success. If you can't answer a question that's so predictable, then you can raise $1 billion.
You know, again, that question, for him, I think he misunderstood the question. He made it very clear. I think it took him a little long to clarify the question.
A little long? It took a week.
Well, you know, several days. But it's interesting. He came back in Iowa just yesterday and said, I had a great answer, but it was for the wrong question. So he played it off. And at the end, what these grassroots activists are looking for, and these primary voters are going to be on issues like Common Core.
Yeah, he's got those other problems
There's other issues
that
he's dealing with.
This is going to happen over and over again. And I think what it is Jeb Bush is this big piñata as the sort of nominal front runner, at least in terms of money. And in the media, we want the best race possible. So we're going to keep going after that guy the way the media would go after Hillary if there were somebody viable working against her. So,
or if she let reporters within 20 yards to ask a question.
Right, and she would have to do that if she were, in fact, had a competitive race going on. But no, I think that this is what we're going to see.
But the media had a huge role in building up Jeb Bush. So
that was the question I was going to ask you. He's the front runner because we say so.
Because he's got this staffer and that staffer and this money, and he's locked up these donors. And there's a big piece about how he's outbidding Marco Rubio in Florida.
That's
you and I were talking about that. So yeah, I mean, the media has done a lot to make him the front runner.
I will say this for Jeb Bush, in contrast to the Democratic front runner. I mean, he is answering a lot of questions. He's doing interviews. Now he's stumbling, and maybe he's out of practice, and maybe he's not used to the sort of Twitter pace of discourse, but he is not hiding from the press.
This is a dress rehearsal, as we all know during primary season.
He doesn't get a dress rehearsal because he is a Bush. He is on Broadway.
I know, but the voters themselves are not necessarily paying attention to what's going on other than what's happening in Iowa and New Hampshire.
It's better for him to get his errors out of the way now.
Well, that's true.
Be sure that in a week or two, we're going to be onto a completely different scandal that none of us can predict right now, but we're definitely going to be pummeling Jeb Bush, whatever it is.
It's been a long time since he's been on a campaign trail, over a decade, so, you know, you can...
And that is starting to show, and I think some on the left in the media are using this whole thing as a chance to relitigate Iraq and to talk about the anger that many of them felt about George W. Bush's decision. Of course, other Republican candidates jumping in and saying, yes, it's now clear that if you knew now you would not have invaded. I had hoped to get to President Obama committing this horrible sexist slight by calling Senator Warren Elizabeth, but we are out of time.
That's a shame, Howard.
Does that speak to you?
No, I think it's a complete and total non-issue.
I remember Senator Boxer getting upset because a brigadier general called her ma'am instead of senator. Remember that?
He also called her a politician, which I guess is an insult. Dana Milbank, Mercedes Schlapp, Nina Easton, thanks very much for joining us. Up next, Verizon gobbles up AOL and the Huffington Post, and Facebook cuts a deal with the New York Times, NBC, and others. Are they giving away too much to Mark Zuckerberg? And later, the Bloomberg anchor who seemed to mock Ted Cruz's Hispanic heritage. This will make you cringe.